Thank goodness for badass women, beginning with Fulton County DA Fani Willis. Welcome to MOMocrats Chat, part of the Demcast family of podcasts. I'm Donna Schwartz Mills with my own crew of badass women, Karoli and Aliza Worthington from crooksandliars.com. And
hello,
Karoli today is
no video.
Yeah, she's joining us from a spot that has very poor broadband, so she is audio only today. And we'll see how that works. The whole thing might be audio only today. We don't know.
We'll see how it goes.
We will see how it goes. But shall we begin with that badass letter Fani Willis sent yesterday or earlier this week to Jim Jordan?
Yeah, I think
yes.
it was it yesterday? Yesterday morning. It
was released. We learned about it yesterday.
So that was like one of the baddest ass letters I've ever read. It really was. It was like balm because Jim Jordan just aggravates my soul. Like whenever I have to hear him talk and filibuster, I just like want to scream and yell and hit things. So having that letter from her was so yummy. I loved it. It was wonderful.
I can't come up with an appropriate metaphor for his voice and his mannerisms for like what he does to me.
Right?
He is the personification of nails on a chalkboard.
Yeah.
He truly is. And she spared nothing in this letter. I mean, I don't have it in front of me. Well, no, of course not. But I mean, the thing is like I've seen other letters from lawyers that get sent to Congress and they're pretty restrained. Like you can read through the lines, right? And know what they're actually saying. But she just came out and said it. So, like maybe you should deal with the racist, threats against me instead of doing, wasting my time with stuff like this.
Yeah.
And, it was great. It was awesome that she did that. And Lawrence O'Donnell had a guest on last night who, and I don't even remember her name, but she was like, well, I think she should have shown more restraint. Prosecutors need to be more restrained.
Mary McCord.
Thank you.
Who I usually, she's good. She comes from DOJ. And, I just like the fact that Fani Willis basically said, mind your own fucking business to Jim Jordan.
Right.
Without the profanity.
It's funny.
Right. She said it in 5 pages or 6. I'm not sure, 5 or 6 pages. Yeah.
It's funny because I just went to Twitter and I searched for Fani Willis, and the first thing that pops up is one of my favorite Twitter people, Petty Lupone.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And she says, Mary McCord saying she wished Fani Willis's letter showed more restraint reminds me of the time my vocal coach asked, why do Black people ad-lib so much?
I read that one. Yes.
Yeah.
My response is the same thing, because we know how to fucking sing. Like, I mean, it's so true.
Oh, it totally is.
What they're fucking doing, and they're showing it.
Yeah.
Right. And it was a great letter. I mean, it was just pitch perfect. And I mean, Jim Jordan will huff and puff about it and all that, but it doesn't matter because she's put him in his place.
Yeah.
So he's huffing and puffing from under her big toe. Yeah.
He has no jurisdiction. She doesn't have to give him what he asked for.
No.
Right.
She's not under congressional jurisdiction. What is...
Yeah. It's similar to Lindsey Graham calling the Georgia Secretary of State.
Mm-hmm.
And, so today, after, we get the letter yesterday. Today, they drop the original, the special grand jury that was investigating before the grand jury that issued the indictments. And we get that first report. And we discover that in addition to the 19 people who were indicted, there were 21 others who they had reason to indict.
That they wanted to.
Right.
They wanted to indict. They wanted her to.
Uh-huh.
And she didn't.
So yeah, Cleta, that was the one that was most disappointing to me, that she wasn't included in there. But I mean, there was also Lindsey Graham, Kelly
but Mike
Whitaker,
Flynn.
Flynn.
Well, so the two that I found most, disappointing, although I don't question any of them. I don't question her decision to not indict any of them, because obviously, what the hell do I know about her decision making? But we're Cleta Mitchell and Mike Flynn.
Well, those might be being left for the feds to do.
It may be.
That's exactly what I was going to say. She was coordinating with Jack Smith, and somebody suggested to me today that was exactly what Donna just said, that the feds may be taking care of Cleta and Flynn. Flynn, of all of them, Flynn needs to go.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he is a fascist.
Ever.
Seriously. I mean, and for me, it's particularly annoying. No, aggravating isn't even the right word. It's infuriating that he does these rallies, these fascist rallies, and he gives 50% off admission to pastors. So it's like, he's trying, and this is the same organization, like in a new form, but it's the same organization that backed Mike Huckabee back in 2007, right? Mm-hmm. They keep regenerating these organizations. They're the ones that put up not Ted Cruz. It was, I'm trying to think. Well, anyway, they try to, stuff like Huckabee and things like that. They try to, and people like that, they try to promote for president. It's gross. And, Flynn, it's just
tradition, especially when you look at these podcasts that Rachel Maddow has done about how it's happened before. It's a very long tradition. You've got this streak in this country, and we will always have that streak, I'm afraid. And
yeah, well, that streak needs to be put in the back burner. It's all,
It does.
It doesn't need to be on the front burner anymore.
But they have figured out how to amplify their message.
Monetize.
And
I was going to say, yeah.
It doesn't help that the owner of Twitter is part of it.
Oh.
Yeah.
The owner of Twitter, who we learned yesterday, thwarted a Ukrainian drone attack on Russia's ships just by flipping a switch on Starlink. And
so I had read that earlier, by the way.
How is that legal? How is he not being brought in front of like a tribunal? Like, how
do we have all these government contracts with him?
Well, say that again? So the government relied on him to provide this internet service to the Ukraine because he already had the infrastructure in place. And that's what's so disturbing about all of this, right? We should have had the infrastructure in place. This is the whole public-private partnership bullshit stuff, right?
This is why the Republicans don't want to fund things,
Right.
Fund things so people will go to the private sector and billionaires will make more money. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, we also have been relying on him for all of our space endeavors.
Yeah. I mean, that's been bothering me for a long time, the whole SpaceX thing.
From the beginning.
And, NASA, we grew up with NASA.
Yeah.
That's
NASA's lane.
That was like a point of pride for me in our government, and to shut down NASA's ability on these things, some of these things, not all of them, but, some of them, and give them over to SpaceX is just disgusting. It's gross. So, yeah, I don't know. It's a little crazy making, but yeah, I agree with you that Elon Musk should be hauled up in front of a tribunal, international court, whatever, and need to answer for why he did that. Because kids are now is Zelensky said, women and children and men are being killed because of his actions.
Yeah.
So, and then if you look at, like, one of the things that was most disturbing about that whole deal was that if you look at Twitter, there's this right winger who was saying, well, maybe this is what you should do. Like, Elon's musing out loud about how he can, kind of, the words he said were something like slow down this war, or, or de-escalate or something like that. So what does he do? Yeah, de-escalate, right? Sure. And so this guy comes and says, well, what you should do is turn off Starlink to Ukraine for a while and see what happens. And boom, the next thing you know, Starlink to Ukraine is turned off. Yeah. So it's just honestly, I think that everybody should leave Twitter. I really do. I think or X, or whatever you want to call it, and just leave it to the wingnuts. I mean, I don't see the point in enriching Elon Musk in that venue.
At the same time, I feel like it's my duty to amplify every anti-Elon tweet I see.
I mean, yeah, but I mean, it's so frustrating.
It doesn't get amplified.
Well, I'm seeing them somehow, so.
Yeah, I guess, but it's not, I mean, like, I have an alert for your tweets, so I see whatever you put out there. Yeah. And everything, but as far as, like, organic amplification, without the blue check, yeah. So,
but I feel like you have to keep an eye on what's going on there as toxic.
I do too. I just want to not contribute to it, I guess, is my point. It's like, I don't want to.
I keep thinking
there's an argument to be made on both sides of it, but I just don't. I don't see it as being the influence.
Yeah.
That it once was. I feel like,
well, that's because everybody's been dispersed,
Exactly.
It's
which is
still,
what he wanted.
The concentration of people who I enjoy interacting with, there's more of it still on Twitter than on Blue Sky or Threads or Spoutable or any of the other ones, And it would be really nice if the 14,000 people that I follow would all get together and say, hey, we're all going to go over there.
Yeah, like everybody migrated. And that would be one thing, but they're not. And it's frustrating.
I know, that's what's frustrating.
That's what's frustrating. And also the journalists aren't migrating.
Right.
That's the thing that frustrates me the most. It's like, can you please go somewhere other than here?
Yeah,
because this is why I'm still going there.
Yeah. Same here. And then there's a small group of people that I interact with and follow and trust. And, we have a really active DM group going that I rely on them for things, and they're not anywhere else. They haven't migrated and regrouped anywhere else. And I still, and I'm so small potatoes over there on Twitter. I'm not even sure that, my leaving would do anything.
No, if everybody left, it would do something.
No, it'd have to be everybody.
And I sure should don't pay for a blue. I never had a blue check, and I never, but,
well, I had one and I don't now, and I'm not paying for one.
Yeah.
No, you're not. That's baloney.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So we learned a lot of other things about Elon this week too. And actually about Jack Dorsey as well.
Oh, what did we learn? This is stuff I don't know. What did we learn?
We learned that agents of the Saudi government were a part of Twitter.
Yeah.
And that Twitter, because Jack let them into Twitter, they were able to get personal information on dissidents.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That was something I forgot about that because there's so much going on.
It was during Jack Dorsey's time.
Yeah, it was in Jack Dorsey's time. And then, that, by the way, that's why I don't trust being in DM groups anymore, because I don't want Elon giving my information or my DMs to anybody. So I bailed out of all my DM groups. because of that. And some of them moved to Signal, which I like, but
Yeah.
some didn't. So yeah, that's the thing. But can we go back for a minute to the there's two things in the legal land that we were talking about earlier. So one of them is Peter Navarro and his stupid guilty, right? And I thought, Chris Hayes put it really well. He's like, is this the dumbest conviction that you've ever heard of? Because it so didn't have to happen. He could have gone he's out there whining and moaning and groaning about it. But here's the thing. He could have gone into and answered the subpoena, sat down and claimed the fifth for every question. He would have satisfied the subpoena and he wouldn't have had charges.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really easy. If you're summoned, you go. It's not a hard thing. You go and you get your lawyer.
Less than what he's facing now.
Yeah. I mean, he's going to get a year for each of those convictions, or up to a year. Probably won't. I mean, he'll probably get something far less than that, but, maybe not even jail time at all, but probation or something. But he'll have two convictions on his record that he never needed to have.
Right.
Which just strikes me as bizarre.
Well,
like, what the hell?
He's bizarre. He is bizarre.
He is whack.
His
completely whack.
Theories are bizarre. He made up, these sources using an anagram of his name. He started out as a Democrat running for office in San Diego with support from Hillary.
Yep. I know. And then he got all weird. I don't know. I don't understand it. But he was a wacko, like the economist stuff. He was whack, just completely nuts.
Yeah.
So it's a fitting end to somebody who's just driven by his ego. But the other legal thing that's been kind of a source of back and forth with me and other people all week long has been this 14th Amendment thing.
Yes.
Yes. And, whether is this a good idea? Is it a bad idea? And I've heard all the arguments on it. Fran, my colleague, and, does the Professional Left podcast, and she and Driftglass went back and forth on this, and she's just really firm that, listen, the Constitution's the Constitution. Here's my problem with that. Everything in the Constitution has a definition, right? And so we're dealing with a court that stretches definitions to the max.
That's true.
So aiding and abetting, and all of it. In other words, I think they could come back and say it wasn't an insurrection, it was a demonstration. It would be wrong, but they could do that.
They could.
So, and
you're right, they would.
Right. And the other part of this is that if, let's say for the sake of argument, that the Supreme Court ruled that yes, he could be barred from the ballot, the only places he's going to get barred from the ballot are going to be blue states, not red states. So,
and then what happens?
I mean, that just further divides the country.
He still gets the electoral college votes in the red states.
Exactly. So those are my problems, basically. I mean, I suppose you could say, okay, well, there's some swing states, and that could, in other words, if we already know that the blue states are the blue states and the red states are the red states, then the only ones that matter are the swing states.
Which is how it is now. The only ones that matter.
It is like that now. Right. And I guess my point is that if one or two of them ban him from the ballot, that might be something, I guess. I just think this is not the right strategy for this time. I feel like we as voters have to be the ones that make him irrelevant. And if he loses twice, he and the Republican Party are in the shitter, and he's about as relevant as Lyndon LaRouche. And, that's not relevant, in case anybody wanted to know.
Who's Lyndon LaRouche?
Lyndon LaRouche.
I know. I was making an irrelevant joke.
Okay.
Yeah, I know.
You're younger than us, so I thought.
I know.
Really didn't know who he was.
Yeah, well, and if we have younger listeners, look him up on Wikipedia or something.
Yeah.
Lyndon LaRouche. Yeah, but I mean, it makes him. He's not going to. he won't do anything again. Yes, we'll still have unrest. Yes, we'll still have division. But in the end, he's not that relevant if he loses.
No. But in the meantime, he's going to do everything he can to steal this one too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no question about it. And the media right now is helping him.
They are.
Which is driving me up the fucking wall.
Every single outlet, including the so-called liberal ones.
Including MSNBC. Yeah.
So I mean, how can 61% of voters in a poll, and given the polls aren't, that reliable, but 61% of voters actually believe that Joe Biden had an involvement in Hunter Biden's business while he was VP? How is that possible? I mean, the intersection, I guess, would be Ukraine, but because Joe Biden was working on getting, what's his name, Shokin, or was it Shokin? Yeah. Shokin. Yeah. Was getting, I'm so bad with names. I'm so glad you guys helped me with that.
I'm terrible.
We help each other.
Yeah. So, so Joe Biden was involved in getting him out because of corruption, but that's it. And Hunter, that was not Hunter Biden's, what he was being paid to do at all.
That's not what he was doing out there.
No.
That's my point. There's I mean, other than the intersection being Ukraine, right? And Hunter Biden was developing business with Ukraine and the U.S., whereas Joe Biden was working on foreign policy in that area with regard to the corruption that was in the government.
Yeah.
That's it. There's not really a nexus, but it doesn't take one, right? It just takes Fox News saying over and over again, that Biden crime family and Hunter Biden and, blah, blah, blah. And Hunter Biden's going to get in.
It's that entire ecosystem. And it is the amplification on social media. And it is Trump. And it is,
And the projection, it's like, hello, projection. Who's the crime family again? Can we just please talk about Jared Kushner and his $2 billion Saudi?
Yeah, speaking about, the Saudis.
Yeah, and it's all projection. The reason that they accuse us
making money while you're in the White House, Jared and Ivanka.
Yeah, right. So in the meantime, we actually have a president and a vice president who are doing good work, and 61% of this country doesn't believe it.
Right.
I shouldn't say that. 61% of this country thinks that he is somehow corrupt, or was when he was VP. It's just mind-boggling to me. It's such a monumental fail on the part of the press. It really is.
They would rather do stories on how old he is.
Yes.
Right.
And they would rather.
Oh, and that's the other thing. He's only 3 years older than Trump, right?
Yeah, and in much better health.
Much better health. I'd like to see, I wouldn't like to, I was going to say I'd like to see Trump ride a bike, but I actually wouldn't really like to see that.
You wouldn't like to see that.
I wouldn't like to see that.
Column today in the Washington Post where he's talking about how the Republican National Committee research account keeps landing on these things to hit Biden with. Like, oh my God, he pet a dog. Oh my God,
he ate ice cream. He ate ice cream. Oh my God, that's terrible. He pet a dog. He ate ice cream.
Because
I saw that one. That was funny.
Administration is quiet, competent, accomplishing things, and so they have to grasp it. It's like Obama's tan suit all over again. They're grasping for things.
Oh my God.
Meanwhile, did everybody catch what kind of suit that Kamala Harris wore at the ASEAN? Is it, how do you pronounce it? ASEAN.
Yeah, the
ASEAN summit.
Tan suit.
It was a gorgeous tan suit.
It was a beautiful tan suit, and she looked wonderful in it.
She looked amazing in it. She looked so good in it, and so did Obama in that damn suit.
Oh my goodness!
Yes, he did.
Yeah,
he wore that.
That's why they had to tear it down.
They
had to tear him down because he did look so good in it. But
that's why.
But she's more than even how she looks is what she's doing. I mean, nobody is paying attention in the press. We are. Some other people are. But, you know, she's
Badass
over there
women.
like doing deals over there in like one of the most strategic areas of the world.
Yes.
Right. And, you know, she's like, I'm getting like these emails with, you know, resolved that this and that and the other thing. So, and, you know, I haven't read them all. I confess. I'm sorry.
No,
But,
me neither.
you know, but it's not my job to read them all. It is the job of reporters who
It's
cover
their
her
job
to
to
read
write
it all
them. Yeah.
and write it up. Right.
Yep.
And maybe they are, but maybe they're editors. Maybe it's not getting published, you know?
Or maybe they're pitching
maybe.
it and they're getting turned down. I mean, you know.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because they're worried about the, it was a Dana Milbank article, Donna. It was Dana Milbank. Biden eats ice cream and pets dogs. Totally unfit to serve.
Yeah.
Unfit.
Great.
Yeah.
He's gotten better. I had issues with him when Obama was in office, but he's gotten better since then. So
Dana Milbank, yeah.
Money with this administration and with the Trump administration.
So there's a breaking banner on my Washington Post thing that says, Judge, more legal things. Judge denies Mark Meadows' effort to move Georgia case to federal court.
Excellent.
Yes.
Excellent.
I mean, if he's going to deny Mark Meadows, he's going to deny them all because Mark Meadows was the key.
Yeah, and also they were saying that, you know, Trump's saying that he might move to have him move to federal was contingent on what happened to Meadows. So
so Meadows is
good.
Yeah.
Good. Well, I'm glad that Meadows got denied because it shouldn't move to federal court.
Of course not.
And, you know, to say that, you know, basically
he wasn't
conducting an insurrection is somehow part of his duties just isn't working for me.
I don't care how afraid he was of being yelled at.
Yeah, he just didn't want to get yelled at by the boss.
Why? Well, that's good. I'm glad that Meadows got denied because that means everything's going to stay in Georgia and maybe we're going to gear up for October 23rd. I think that'll get postponed. I mean, the judge sounded kind of skeptical too. But the thing is, she has the right to try them all together. And, you know, the judge hasn't severed anybody.
No.
And again, Meadows would have been the one probably that could have had the best chance of having that happen.
Right.
So we could see like Georgia being the center of the universe here in another couple of months.
I have a question. Has Trump made a motion to sever his case?
No, he announced yesterday that he's thinking of it.
Okay.
Which, you know, they were speculating on one of the shows today that because all he ever wants to do is delay, he would do that on the last possible day.
Oh, yeah.
The day
Which
of the
is when?
And also it would be contingent on whether like Meadows and those guys, it happened for them.
Succeeded, yeah. Okay.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, September 30th, he would probably drop that motion.
Okay.
Right.
So
with an October 23rd trial date.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's wild. Well, we'll see.
So we won't know then until the end of September if there's any trial in October.
We may know before that because, you know, they are going, you know, there's 19 defendants and each one has their own legal team.
Strategy, yeah.
They have to have discovery.
Yeah.
You know, so they may find some compromise between what's expedient and speedy.
Yeah.
And what you can do to give them a fair chance.
Yeah.
You know? So we shall see.
Yeah.
But
could be a very interesting holiday season.
Well,
yeah.
It has all been interesting. I would like us to get back to a point where none of this is interesting anymore. You know, where the government works and
yes.
And most of us are getting along with one another.
True. Well, let's see if Greg Abbott gets impeached. That trial's been going on this week too.
Kim Paxton.
Not Greg Abbott. Sorry, Kim Paxton.
Greg Abbott being impeached?
Unfortunately,
it was my wishful thinking.
You'll get me excited for half a second.
Peter Abbott.
What?
as corrupt as his attorney general is.
Oh,
Who has
evil.
been under indictment for his entire term. I don't know what's up with that.
Yeah, I know. He's been for 8 years. He's been under indictment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, corrupt.
Sorry about that.
No, that's okay. That's okay.
All I want for Christmas is Greg Abbott to be impeached.
Oh my God. No, I want more than that for Christmas.
No, I do too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a big wish list.
Yeah, me too. Me too. So Nancy Pelosi's running again.
Oh, that's good. I'm excited about that.
Yes.
I am too.
Yes, she prompted a hashtag on Twitter that was "She's 83."
83.
Yeah. So, and?
Yeah, she can still run miles around most of those dudes and in heels.
Oh, yeah. You know, easily. She wears stilettos and you know, she has dudes carrying her bags for her and she's way ahead of them.
Yeah. But Nicole Wallace had her on today.
Oh, okay. I missed it. I'll bet she was great.
Well, yeah, she was. Nancy was great. Nicole, I guess Nicole's originally from Northern California. She was grilling her on San Francisco.
Oh, really?
Oh, really?
Crime issues in San Francisco. And, you know, as a member of Congress, you know, she's not really involved in running the city.
Right.
So you know, basically Nancy was saying, hey, you know, you've got these gangs of criminals in cities all over the country. That's not saying that the city is unlivable. You've got areas of the city that are not, that you wouldn't want to go to, but that's not the whole city. Mm-hmm. And you can say that about every city.
Yeah.
So that was that part of it was you know, interesting. That's what Nicole wanted to question her about. But
sometimes her priorities are a little weird to me, Nicole.
Yeah, that is a little weird. Well, she, you know, she, as much as I love her, and I do think she's probably my favorite on MSNBC in general. I've had developed such a low threshold for like disgust at like pretty much anybody, including most MSNBC people. But she does, Nicole sometimes, you know, fawns over people that make me raise my eyebrows. Huh?
She's a Reagan Republican.
And not just that. Like she fawns over, you know, like Eddie Glaude and some people, you know, and just like, ugh, you know, I don't know.
Right.
Yeah, and you wonder how much of that is, you know, these are the people that I have to work with.
Yeah.
And how much of that is genuine.
Yeah.
Genuine love.
Yeah, I don't know, but she has some blind spots too, you know,
right.
and one of them is this whole crime thing, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there is crime in cities. We're having a rash of the grab and go crimes, you know, with the flash mobs, right? So they're coming in, like there was 30 or 50 coming into a Nordstrom a couple of weeks ago. It was in the problem with that is that it's not just the stores that suffer; it's the shoppers that suffer. Everybody. You don't feel safe anymore. You don't want to go in.
So that's not something I've heard about. Is that like that sounds like something? I mean, I've heard about that happening a long time ago.
It happened during.
Oh no, it's happening now.
What's happened now is that they've stepped it up. They are in other neighborhoods. Yeah. They went into a couple of the local malls where I live, you know, a few weeks ago. And they're just kind of targeting different affluent shopping centers.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I mean, so the police have like put together a task force, and I think they'll definitely probably get to the bottom of this eventually because they're leaders. And as soon as they can identify the leaders, I think they'll do it. So, but in the meantime, it is a crime problem. And, you know, liberals and conservatives alike have the right to feel safe when they go shopping. you
Right.
know, and not be mobbed. And I mean, some of the recordings that you see, like the Nordstrom one, was horrifying, right?
Yeah.
They ran in and they were grabbing handbags, and they're all chained. All the handbags are
Yeah.
chained, so they're just grabbing the furniture that they're chained to and taking that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was just wild, and they've done it in jewelry stores. And yet there was one like mom and pop jewelry store they tried to do it in,
Yeah.
and they bear sprayed pop, and the employees ended up they got bear sprayed too, but they fought back and they left and they didn't get anything.
Oh.
So, but they were lucky. I mean, honestly,
That's actually kind of a scary thing to do.
it is a scary thing to do because you just don't know, you know, you just don't. So
Sure.
anyway,
Stores, people were trained not to fight back like that.
I mean, my point is that crime is pretty much everywhere, and it happens and it doesn't happen. It's not at the scale that everybody needs to arm themselves and go out. And but it does need attention. And I guess for Nicole to take Nancy Pelosi on that, who doesn't have any control over, she's not the mayor of San Francisco. You know, she's not on the city council of San Francisco.
She's not on the city council.
She can write a bill. She can vote for a bill, on a national level.
But that she can't write a bill for San Francisco.
Right.
Exactly. So anyway, that's my rant about that. But the other thing is the ageism still bothers me. And I know I might have been wrong about Dianne Feinstein. But
I totally regret my vote for Dianne Feinstein.
Yeah, but
my reasoning.
Nancy Pelosi's
what was your option?
My reasoning.
Well, no, we had other options. Although it turned out that the other guy that was running was a jerk. Yeah, so a racist jerk at that. So it's better that we didn't vote for him either. But at the time, I don't know. I just felt
like you didn't have real alternatives.
So in Nancy Pelosi's district, there's a guy that's been getting ready to run in her district, assuming she was going to retire. And he's supposed to be very good. And he's like excellent with regard to the housing issues and things. So anyway, he's obviously not going to get a chance to run this time around. And that's what's got a lot of people up in arms about it. But I mean, he could still run. He's just not going to lose. He's not going to win.
He's not going to win.
The thing is that I think that with Pelosi just being a member of the House, you still have all that well of information that she has and knowledge and expertise on how to do things that she has. I don't think it hurts to have 2 more years of that.
No.
And it is only a 2-year term. It's not the same.
The guy. It's not like the guy has to wait 6 years.
The guy can move to a different district.
He can, or he can wait and do it in 2 years and, and just build up his war chest. Why not? And his name and everything else. And that might be the way to go too. Here, I got to let the doggy in. Hold on.
Oh,
come on. Come in.
Can you turn on your camera just for a doggy cameo?
I will after. Yeah. I don't want to mess up the recording. Okay. Anyway, so he's back in now.
All right.
So,
but I'm glad we discussed Vice President Harris, and I'm glad that we discussed Nancy Pelosi. Those were 2 of the other badass women that wanted us to talk about today. We should probably, though, talk about some of the not so badass men.
Right?
Are just crazy.
We talked about Navarro.
We talked about Elon. We didn't talk about him threatening to sue the Anti-Defamation League.
And the anti-Semitism that goes with that. I mean, he's blaming the Anti-Defamation League for Twitter's demise, as if he lets in all the Nazis and racists, and they get to do their thing.
Yeah.
Right.
And then he's
blaming the ADL.
In this episode, he's amplifying and retweeting the most vile anti-Semitic stuff. He's not literally saying it himself, but he's promoting all this right-wing anti-Semitism.
Yeah.
That is just horrific.
Yeah.
Horrific.
Yeah.
It is. We all may as well be Rothschilds to him. It's just.
I'm sure you are. I mean, this is the South African upbringing roaring right on out into the internet in full racist anti-Semitic glory, right? I mean, that's what he is.
Awful,
and that's why, I mean, that's like why I think we should leave Twitter. I don't think we should be,
I know. I don't spend the majority of my time there. I'm
don't either.
Mostly I'm on Instagram watching cleaning videos, but that's not great either.
Yeah.
Organizing videos.
Right. I watch GSP videos on Instagram.
What's that?
German short-haired pointers.
Oh, Violet.
Yeah, Violet videos. But yeah, I mean, and a lot of my Jewish friends have left Twitter. They're just done. It's like, I can't, people I followed from day one are like, they're done. I'm done. I'm not doing that anymore. So
yeah, well, I mean, for the last year, I've been taking occasional screenshots of, it's a rare day on Twitter when the Jews aren't trending, the Jews, or Judaism, or
it's a cesspool.
It's almost every day.
Well, it's a cesspool,
and
there's still people there that are worth staying in touch with.
I feel like as long as the Jews that I follow are still like Elad Nahori is there, and Sarah Total Singer is there, and like certain people that I still, Rosenberg is there, and
David Rothkopf.
Yeah, then I'm kind of, I see them there more than I see them elsewhere.
Right.
And I like what they're saying. I learned from them a lot.
Yeah. So it's a mixed bag.
It is. It's a really tough choice. Like, do you subject yourself to that, repeated, generational trauma and like upset, or do you, do without the warmth of the interactions you're having with your cohorts there and the things that you learn about what's going on, in other parts of the world, and also what's going on in Twitter, because some of those people do a really good job of what's going on in Twitter and, calling it out and letting us know. And,
like I said, I enjoy amplifying all the anti-Elon material I see.
Yeah, that's the thing to do for sure.
How about Tommy Tuberville? You want to talk about?
Oh God! Wow. So I just, I wish I don't think I can do the audio, but Vote Bets has a great ad. You can find it on Twitter. That is against.
Wish everybody would leave Twitter.
Right. I know, and there it is, right? But it is a great ad, and I will share it. So it could be put
probably on YouTube page. Also.
Yeah, so it is amazing. It totally calls him out for what he's doing with regard to undermining our military by not allowing them to have, confirmed people in command, basically stepping on everybody. And he's been, even Republicans now are saying enough is enough. We need to get these guys, national security, blah, blah, blah. We need to get these guys in place.
Do something. Is it just because it's going to be too time consuming at this point to vote on each and every one of these openings?
I don't know what it is. I mean, like first of all, Chuck Schumer, like I'd like to kick his ass a little bit for this because he just the other day, he comes out and says, oh, the blue flips have been abused in the past, but now, oh, it wasn't Chuck Schumer, it was Durbin that said that. It was, and now, but in this Senate, we're gonna, all getting along. I'm like, what planet are you living on that you would dare to say that and with a straight face? I don't understand it.
Maybe Nancy Pelosi does need to leave the House and get a job as, as Schumer's whip them all into shape person.
Seriously, because she would not stand for this. She would have.
Well, I mean, wasn't there? And there was a letter this week from a joint letter from the heads of the Army, the Navy.
Yeah.
And I don't remember which the third branch was, but it was Carlos Del Toro and Christine Wormuth and one other.
Either Air Force or Marines. So
yeah, 3 of the branches calling him out.
Yeah.
Right.
And saying this had, you look what you're doing, stop, just calling him out, reading him for filth for doing, for holding up.
Well, here's the terrifying thought, because this is what McConnell did with judges during the Obama years. And what happened was Trump came in and he filled all those empty judgeships with Federalist Society hacks.
I see where you're going.
Right.
And okay. I don't like it.
So now we've got 300 plus openings in the military. And if Biden is not reelected, this is part of getting rid of the so-called deep state. You end up with a military who is loyal to the leader.
One person.
Loyal and beholden to the leader.
Right. It's actually terrifying what Tuberville's doing.
Yeah.
It is. It is. And honestly, I think he should be impeached for what he's doing, because they take an oath, right? And the oath, and part of the oath is that to defend, the nation, right? And he is undermining that. What?
I mean, that would have to come from his state, right?
No, it would have to come from the Senate. The House would have to impeach him, I think, and then the Senate tries him. I think it's just like anything else.
The House,
but honestly, it's a pipe dream, right? But that's what ought to happen if in a functional democracy. You want to talk about the Constitution being the Constitution. Tommy Tuberville should be impeached for what he's doing, because he's breaking every single day that he lets this go on. He's breaking his oath of office.
Yeah, that's true.
So.
And to think that Alabama had Doug Jones.
Doug Jones. The wonderful, great Doug Jones.
Yeah.
Oh,
and they
I know.
heard the football coach who lives in Florida.
Speaking of Alabama, though, they just got smacked down by the court, and they have to. Now there's a special master that's going to make the districts.
Oh, they're appealing that, but still.
Good luck with it.
Yeah.
I mean, appealing it. The Supreme Court said you have to do this. They said no. The court said, okay, then we'll do it for you. Now, what are they going to appeal? Wham, wham, wham. I mean, come on.
They're talking about taking it to the Supremes.
Yeah, well, the Supreme Court has already heard this case and made a decision on it. So,
and then you also had a smackdown in Florida, too.
Yeah, right.
Mark Elias is doing God's work.
Yes, he is. God preserve him. He's every single day. So, no, he's
I'm seeing
doing great work.
2 things regarding removal of a senator. A senator can be impeached.
Yeah.
But a senator can also be expelled, and that can come from within the Senate.
Oh, that's right. But it's certain reasons for expulsion. But again, you're not going to get enough of this. It's like 2/3 of the Senate to expel him, right?
2/3.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
So that's not going to happen. Yeah. But I'm just saying, it's not only impeachment. So each House of Congress may determine the rules of its proceedings, punish its members for disorderly behavior, and with the concurrence of 2/3 expel a member. So those are the two ways.
Yeah. One wonders if McConnell was on his game, if this would have been going on for so long.
But what are you talking about? Mitch McConnell is perfectly healthy. No surgeries, no seizures, no nothing.
He's got nothing wrong with him. He was just a little lightheaded. Just a little.
Don't believe your lying eyes when he stood there, like with a fixed gaze, without being able to let the words come out of his mouth.
Ugh.
You know, it was no big deal. You know, I still am annoyed as I'll get out about that, because look, if he has a health issue, it's fair that we know it. I think in that situation, just like it would be fair, by the way, for us to know if Biden had one, right? I mean,
right. I mean, the issue is not an arbitrary age thing. Every individual has their own issues as they age.
Right.
Some people stay active and able into far old age, you know?
Right.
And others do not.
You know, speaking of which, you know, Fetterman had a stroke, and how
I was just going to say that. Yeah.
You know, it's not a function of age. It's not. Right. And P.S. A lot of us were pissed that, you know, at the possibility that he had not been forthcoming about
his health issues.
What his health issues might have been. A lot of us thought that maybe, you know, he was having more serious health issues than he was letting on, and that was pissing us off too. You know, so I mean, we hold our own people accountable also, and you know, so that's just, yeah, it's legitimate to question that bullshit letter from the congressional doctor saying he's in perfect physical. You know,
I didn't know
Ronnie Jackson must be.
Oh my God, they must be. They must have gone.
Great minds think alike.
But you know,
speaking of Fetterman, though,
yeah,
I just want to say he's been awesome with regards to his messaging on the House, even thinking about an impeachment inquiry. Have you seen some? It's like it's bullshit. It's,
oh yeah, oh my God, yeah,
right. And good social media game.
One of the things that I saw today, because I was sort of under the weather for the first half of the day, and so I was just on the couch and I had MSNBC on like really low volume. And one of the things I saw was that I think it's over 60% in one poll do not think Joe Biden should be impeached. Maybe it was over 50%, but it was definitely it was definitely a majority.
I think it was. Yeah, it was definitely a majority. I saw that too. Yeah.
So we're getting a lot of weird information from a lot of different polls, and God only knows what the samples are, how the press reported, you know, where these interpretations are coming from, or even, you know, who the pollsters are.
Yeah.
Like one of these CNN polls was conducted by a polling company that not only works for Trump, but worked for Manafort in Ukraine.
Right. Yep.
Okay, so a lot of these polls we're getting are actual disinformation campaigns.
Yeah.
That our media is jumping on.
CNN was going crazy yesterday about it was crazy. I mean, I had to turn it off. It was just awful.
Which poll? Which
constant? The poll that said that Biden's too old.
Yeah. The one yesterday. We only have a few more minutes left. I want to know what you ladies think of the idea of the forced birth people changing their name from pro-life to pro-baby. They want to
I mean, for starters, that's a lie, right? Just as much of a lie as pro-life, right?
They'd have to actually be pro-baby. They're not pro-baby.
Exactly.
They're not pro-baby. They actually care about the baby after it's born.
Again,
right.
You know, somebody on Twitter said, "Oh, you mean enslaved motherhood?"
Yeah, that's perfect. That's the perfect characterization.
I mean, they're
But I
talking.
mean, the whole pro-baby thing is ridiculous, right? I mean, they don't want babies to eat or to go to school or any of that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
They just want them to be born.
Work.
No,
Yeah, they want them to work.
Working. Yeah, they want them. They'll send them to work.
Yeah, but that's pretty much the extent of it. So
it's absurd, and it's not going to work.
No, because people aren't that stupid.
Well,
I mean,
but they've put so many decades into that branding. They're not. Then
that's the thing.
They're reaping what they sow, and all of a sudden they're like, oh, maybe this isn't working for us. Tough shit. That's what you got. Yeah. In the same way that they're like so thrilled that SCOTUS overturned Roe v. Wade and sent it back to the states, and now every state that's put it on the ballot has come back pro-choice.
So they enact laws to keep women from leaving the state.
We haven't talked about that insanity.
We haven't talked about that insanity. We haven't talked about the insanity that is happening in Wisconsin, where they want to impeach.
Speaking of impeachment,
that was just who hasn't even tried a case yet.
She hasn't even tried.
The whole Ohio thing where it's gerrymandered so badly. You guys will have a lot of material to talk about next week.
Oh my God, I know.
It's true.
And who knows what's going to happen between now and then, because these Trump trials are the gift that keep on giving.
Yeah.
They are.
God bless Fani Willis.
Yes.
My dream 2028 ticket is Harris Willis.
Oh boy,
that would be amazing.
Boy, what a dream.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So on that note, weekend plans, you guys?
I am going to on Sunday. There's an arts and crafts festival in my town, and I have heard that Moms for Liberty was going to try to infiltrate it. So I'm going to wear my Barbie Antifa shirt and go to all those right-wing tables that are legitimately there because they paid for they're registered and they have whatever, and the Baltimore County Republicans or whatever, and I'm gonna go there and just make sure that there isn't any Moms for Liberty shit being handed out.
Excellent.
I love you, Aliza.
Well, if I were home,
I have assurance from the Chambers of Commerce. I have assurances from the Chamber of Commerce that if any vendor is handing out materials that don't directly have to do with that aren't connected to their business, they're going to be escorted from the premises by security.
Okay, I'm going to want to know more about this. I'm going to be following you. I suppose I have to go to Instagram to find out what you're doing.
I don't know where I'll keep up with. I don't know. Maybe I have to buy a GoPro and walk around. But yeah. Yeah, we'll see.
Well, if I were home, I'd be joining my friends in protesting a house right across from the elementary school that my kids went to, that's flying flags on there. That one's fuck Joe Biden, one's fuck Gavin Newsom.
Oh.
And the fuck Joe Biden is fuck Joe Biden and all of you that voted for him.
Nice.
And that it's like literally right across from the pre-K. From the pre-K and kindergartners in that school, where they play outside and everything. And so we were going to be protesting, but I'm not there. I'm here. I'm up in my happy place.
So what is the protest going to consist of? Because they're allowed to fly whatever they want on their property.
They can fly whatever they want, and we can say, although their city codes say that they can't. City codes say that their flagpole can only be 6 feet tall, and it's more like 10 or 12 feet tall, and that they're can fly the American flag, the city flag, and the state flag. That's it. And no political flags unless it's within 90 days of an election.
Well,
so
that sounds like
and it's not.
Cops could get called on them.
Yeah, well, it's just going to be a question of the city. But anyway, I mean, I just think it's gross that we're getting to this point where people think it's okay to do that, and they don't have any sense of civic belonging, or like you're in a neighborhood, maybe your neighbors might be offended by that, much less the children.
The exact same situation, Karoli. It's really funny you're saying that, because we have, one street over from me, there's a playground and a daycare center. It's a community center, but it's a pre-K. There's 2 and 3-year-olds and 4-year-olds go to school there, and the guy across the street, right directly across the street, has the fuck Joe Biden, and it's in the form of a gun. The F or whatever is made of guns.
Yeah,
and it's disgusting.
Well, that is an awful thing for us to end the show on.
Yeah.
Oh, well, sorry about that.
We're going to have to talk about this some more. I want to hear about your adventures at the craft fair, and I hope, Karoli, you find out what happens in your neighborhood, even though you are, not there
in your happy place
now.
Yeah.
That's it for this week. Join us next time on YouTube, MOMocrats.buzzsprout.com, or on your favorite podcast service such as iTunes, Google, and Amazon Music. And be sure to check our Facebook page for updates. This is Donna Schwartz Mills with Karoli and Aliza, and we're saying goodbye for the MOMocrats. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
MOMocrats Mama Chat is part of the Demcast family of podcasts.